is on the gas, my whole crew are helpless. I want mine in cash, want it all, I'm selfish. Never gave a fuck, I'm bad, I cannot help this. Caught up in my ways, counting days till I'm fucking out this. Whoa, roll up 20 deep, little homie, build a snap. Like, whoa, put 100 down and put us on the map. Like, whoa, y'all ain't even know the place I had to go. In my soul, lost a part of me, but I won't lose control. On the gas, my whole crew are helpless. I want mine in cash, want it all, I'm selfish. Never gave a fuck, I'm bad, I cannot help this. Caught up in my ways, counting days till I'm fucking out this. Whoa, roll up 20 deep, little homie, build a snap. Like, whoa, put 100 down and put us on the map. Like, whoa, y'all ain't even know the place I had to go. In my soul, lost a part of me, but I won't lose control.
Hi there, how are you all doing? Thank you so much for coming to watch the first episode of our Gamer Nation podcast, the global gaming podcast that I'm launching here, fully in English, just to bring the voices that make esports happen across the globe. So I'm very much happy to have my first guest here, Gilmania, my friend Gil. How you doing? What's up?
Hey, doing great myself. Thanks so much for asking. Pretty thrilled about what may be going on like what you mentioned, the first of many episodes of this podcast. Pretty excited.
Oh yeah, man. So yes, I'm very happy to bring this project to life. I was thinking about it last year, so I was designing how this could happen, and my idea here is like really showcasing the lives of those who makes esports happen, all the casters, all the talents we have across the globe, and it's a lot of people, as we know. And you are my first guest because I was thinking, okay, you is the best one to begin with because I know him personally. He's a very talented caster. We have worked together somehow in the past, so I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you so much. And of course, I want to welcome everybody who's with us in our stream chat. Please feel free to share this stream with your friends. Please also hit the like button and follow our channel. This is gonna be the first episode, and we're gonna be, of course, improving the quality of our work here over time. So this is just a first start, a first move. So Gil, man, again, thank you so much for joining us, and I would like to know, to begin with, about your beginnings when it comes to being a gamer and experiencing gaming in your life. What can you tell about your first years? I don't know if you are just like I was, an early gamer. I was very much into the games very early in my life. So I don't know, tell us about how you began loving games.
I could tell you that I started playing games probably when I was, I want to say, 5 or 6 years old. I started playing on the Game Boy Color. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably my first ever console. It had quite a few games, and I loved it. It was one of those situations where my parents would be like, all right, you've had enough. You've played a lot today, so let's move on to something else. And it's something that I've liked probably ever since.
That's so nice. That's so cool. And tell me a little bit more about how you, let's say, got this passion for games. Did you do this, let's say, not into the digital games first and then you got to them? Or how was it for you? I mean, have you played many board games before getting into the electronic ones?
I mean, when it comes down to board games, there's only a couple that I've played before. I like playing chess, for example. I feel like it's very entertaining. Don't get me wrong, I'm awful at it, but I like playing chess. I feel like it's a game that is super fun. Outside of that, it's pretty casual kind of games. I don't know if you've ever heard of a game called Life as well. It's pretty similar to, for example, I want to say Monopoly in a sense. Games like that.
I know Monopoly, but not that other one.
Right? Yeah.
But cool.
It's pretty nice. It's something that I've always had in my life. I just like sharing games with others, if I'm being honest with you. I like that community sense in a way with friends, with family. It's great.
Yeah, that's great. I can say like I played a lot of games all over my life, by myself, with friends, with family, and I've been a gamer lover forever. But again, all that changed on one day when I tried to, cast like League of Legends, let's say, 10 years ago. Yeah. And I don't know if you were like a fan of League of Legends back in the day or something like that.
I haven't played that much League of Legends. If I'm being honest with you, when it comes down to playing League of Legends, I want to say like a few hours, probably 10 at most, and I was always playing with friends. Playing ARAM is something that I've always liked doing and stuff like it. I don't know, I feel like when it comes down to games on computer, it's probably the place where I played the least. I've always been more of a console kind of guy or mobile, so it's one of the two.
That's cool. That's so cool. Yeah. I think our generation, to be honest, was pretty much into gaming in all the classes, all the style of games, and we can talk about them like for many hours, I would say. I feel that. But that's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool to know that we're on the same page on that as well. And when it comes to loving the games in a professional way, I know it's quite a jump in our talk, but like, when did you begin looking at games and looking at them as a potential professional path. Was it a long time ago, or like is it something more recent for you?
Mhm. In a professional way, I would say that came way later in life. I want to say probably 1, 2, 3 years ago at most. But I started playing or caring about esports per se, I would say around 2015, 2016, with two games in particular that I loved back in the day, and I still love today, if I'm being honest with you. One of them being quite similar to League of Legends is Vainglory.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure that you maybe
yeah.
heard of it, and many of people as well. It's a game that I loved, and I mean I loved playing. I'm someone who could spend hours and hours on end, and not only playing but also watching. Yeah, back in the day, the esports for Vainglory were each weekend from Saturday and Sunday. I would be just doing chores of the house while at the same time watching the gameplay. It's probably the game that I play the most, that I've watched the most, and alongside with it, I could also play. I could also talk about Clash Royale. Clash Royale is a game that I enjoy a lot. Man, it's super super fun. To this day, if I'm being honest with you, I still play Clash Royale. It's been like, I want to say 8 years that I played it. So, yeah, I would say that those two is where I started caring for esports, aside from just playing the game itself.
That's so cool because Vainglory for me, for example, was a more recent discover. I was never much into it, but like again, League of
Hmm.
Legends, Dota 2, and also Heroes of the Storm from
Yeah,
from the MOBA world, from Blizzard. To be honest, that was a very interesting game or bunch of games that I worked on too. But good to know, Vainglory. Yes, that's a very nice title, and yeah. So
yeah,
you said Clash Royale. I am also a fan, a lover of Clash Royale, to be honest. As much as uh, we also have like Clash of Clans from Supercell, is that right?
yes.
So I love all those games, and Hearthstone as well. Diablo, many other games. But that's cool. I know it's another style of gaming, but cool to know. And when it comes to casting, Gil, what was your first game that you ever tried to cast? That was a curiosity I had about you.
I mean, funny enough, it was the game that I still cast to this day, which is Call of Duty Mobile, and it was pretty much just a coincidence. I believe I mentioned that to you, the fact that at first I was just streaming Call of Duty Mobile. I was just playing. I was just trying to meet people, to have people to play with, and stuff like that. And for whatever reason, I wanted to join an org. I felt like that was an easier way for me to hang out with new people, who have more consistency with who I was playing with. And I joined an org, Mi6. You know it. I'm sure a lot of you have as well. And pretty much at the same time, when I joined the org, Linux, I got the opportunity to cast. How, you may ask? They had the Music Sunday Showdown, and at the same time that I joined, there was the other caster, Golden Boy, was like, you know what? At this point, I no longer can help you guys with this event, and they asked me. The verdict himself, he was like, you know what? I know Gail. Maybe he can help us cast. And when I was questioned about it, I was a little bit scared. If I'm being honest with you, the most experience that I've had casting was just I made a tournament for my viewers. I was just having fun, and that was it. That was all. They had the trust in me to help them do it, and it's a tournament that was each week. If I'm being honest with you, Linux, at first I did not know it was weekly. I thought that it was a one-time kind of deal, but then the very next week they asked me, are you still gonna help us? I was confused. I was like, "Is that weekly?" And they were like, "Yes." So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I continued to do it each Sunday. It was, like I mentioned, a coincidence that ended up being one of those that, in a sense, changed your life.
It totally changes our lives, and it's interesting to reckon that it happens in a very not let's say foreseeable way, right? We cannot predict that
Yeah.
always. For many of us, I believe, us as talents, us as like communicators of games, I would say it comes just as something random, as a casual chance that you have to be there, just like happened to you. So it's very interesting to see that it happens to you. It happened to you just like happened to me in the past. When you were talking about yourself, I was seeing myself back in the day, like 10 years ago. I also had some random chances that became like more regular. So that's how we grow and, of course, create our style.
Yeah.
But good to know, and then we begin to understand what is the dimension that games have, right, Gil? Because gaming and
Yes.
games are not just entertainment. And for us who work on the gaming, I would say we begin to, be in love with that, in passion, right? To do that live and
Yes.
also to tell that on socials. And I'm quite sure that's what happened to you too. And so Call of Duty Mobile was your first game. That's very interesting because, to me, you look extremely talented for someone who just began like some years ago. But again, I'm sure you have been having like very intense years working with gaming, right? And on the top of Code M, have you worked with other games like on a professional capacity, etc.?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to play, not play, sorry, but cast other games. I've casted for Valorant. I've casted for League of Legends Wild Rift, for FIFA itself. At some point, other games I could think about is Apex Legends mobile as well. I've had the opportunity to test these other environments that I really enjoy because to me at least, and I'm sure to you as well, goes beyond the sense of just casting. If I'm being honest with you, I just love the competitive environment of games. Is something that I've always liked. I told you about Vainglory. I used to watch it every single week for for Clash Royale as well. Watching the CRL. It's just something that I like a lot. And even if it's not esports, if I'm playing with friends, I'm telling you, I play for fun, but I play to win. I always try to. I always try to play to win. I know that I'm not necessarily the most skilled player, but if you beat me, I'm telling you, I try to win. So it's something that I deeply enjoy. Besides just the professional environment for it, but just I enjoy being competitive.
Oh, I know, and I try to be competitive, for example, in Call of Duty Mobile, but I cannot. I was not born for that, to be specific, to be honest. I cannot.
It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy. Actually, that is the reason why many of us who are like casters are not good players, so this combination seems like too much for the brains. So let's just give up on that and let's just cast. But yeah, I feel you. For example, in many games, not Code M, but let's say other games, I have been trying to be competitive. Like let's say like some manager career games, some stuff like that. Like I love FIFA, the FIFA franchise from EA Sports, and also I love soccer games. So I've been trying to be a better guy on those games. But yeah, it's usually it doesn't go too long on that, and I just get back to studying on casting. It is life. It is what it is. And yeah, we try to do the best with the skill set we have. But let me ask you this. I was curious when you were talking about your way from like playing on the beginnings to now and also casting. How would you define your professional journey so far when it comes to now being a caster as opposed to before, when you went to school or college? How did your personal and professional plans change on all this way?
I mean, if I'm being honest, the thing that made everything shift for me the most, it must have been the fact that we all had to be on quarantine. It was
Yeah.
on quarantine where I started playing Call of Duty Mobile. I played it before, but my phone wasn't necessarily fit for it, so I just played it for a while and then stopped. Then on quarantine, I had a new phone. I had the opportunity to play. Then when I was on Twitter, I saw I think it was Clash with Ash. I don't know if you know him. He posted something about a streaming platform where I was like, you know what? I want to try streaming. I always wanted to try it, but as I said, if I on my other phone, I couldn't play Call of Duty Mobile, let alone stream, right? So
Yeah.
at that point, I had the opportunity to not only play but also stream. So at that point in time is where I decided to give it a try. You know, school. I was on, I want to say my second year of college, something along those lines, and it was a bit of a pause, not for me but for everyone. And I started playing and streaming. I started meeting new people and stuff like it. By that time is also where I got to meet Burdick, for example, which is
Oh,
another
nice.
very
Yeah.
talented caster. That, if I'm being honest with you, I feel like I owe him a big part of why I'm here today. He's always been like a mentor. He was the person who got me into Mystics, who was the person who recommended me to be on the Trouble Showdown. So yeah, it
Good
was
to
pretty
know.
much quarantine which shifted for me to be on this environment.
Yeah, the same happened to me in a way, but specifically about Code EM, it's when I
Hmm.
again began also getting in touch with the game. Before than that, I can say in my past years I was working with other titles, but then yeah, the pandemics brought me to into Code EM, word which I loved and I love so far. We all are like so passionate for the game because it's so dynamic and so intense as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, interesting. So you begin streaming, and I mean, did you stream yourself playing, or was it more of a
Yes.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I used to the first time that I started streaming, it was like I mentioned, Call of Duty Mobile, and I was like, you know what? I want to get to legendary.
Oh yeah,
And
nice
my
goal.
first ever, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks, it was Road to Legendary. I think it took me, I don't remember how many weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks to get to legendary. It was when gunsmith wasn't a thing. You could only apply three attachments, and one of those could have been a scope, and that was it, right? So at first, I was playing rank. I was playing mostly alone, but I would also get help from viewers from time to time. And I gotta be honest with you, if it wasn't because of the viewers, it would take me a lot longer to actually reach legendary. So yeah, it was me playing, just hanging out with people, then giving me advices, because not only was I new to streaming, I was new to the game in a way. I known Call of Duty for a big part of my life. I played a Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, all those kind of games. But when it came down to mobile, it was my first shooter, so they would help me, learn how to aim better, how to position myself, how to get better attachments. So yeah, when it was streaming, I try to get to legendary. I'm proud to say that I managed to get to legendary. It was a thing that I was really happy at the time, if I'm honest.
Well, I'm happy for you because when it comes to me, I'm still on that road to get to legendary. I never managed to do it so far, to be honest. I've been trying for years, but I mean, since we have always like a lot going on and like some gigs and works to take care of, usually
Yeah.
I don't have the time to get into a higher level as you are. But man, I've been trying. I have been like stuck into like master level or elite master. That's it. That's my limit. I cannot move forward in that. So congrats to you. I'm happy for you. But I haven't been a great player anyways. But yeah, COD Mobile has all this passion involved. I love to play the game even though I'm not as good. But yeah, it is what it is. And again, we do what we can. So uh,
Yeah.
it's what we can do. But Gil, tell me a little bit like more about your major casting, let's say, achievement. I know that in 2022 you began casting major events and you got called for many opportunities. How did it
Mhm.
feel for you to transition from a streamer, gameplay streamer, to a caster per se?
I mean, when I was the first transition, as you mentioned, was when I moved onto Mystic Sunday Showdown, which is what I owed the most of my casting career, if I'm being honest with you all. And as you mentioned, the first big event that I went to was a battle royale event from Mexico versus United States. I got to be in Vegas alongside with super talented people like Extreme, like Big Mommy, I Hold Shift, and Blaze Guy. That was my first event that I got invited to, and it was insane. It was honestly insane. When I got told that I was invited, I kid you not when I say that I cried. I cried because it's something that I only imagined. If I'm being honest, I imagined of being invited by Activision, being invited by at the time I think it was organized by Tribe mostly, so it was like a dream come true because Tribe is a team that I've always looked up to. Activision, as I mentioned, with Call of Duty and many other titles. It was just so nice to be a part of something so big as that event was to me at the time, and I'm sure it was to all the players that got to play in it, and also the viewers that got to watch it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear because that's also something I want to know more about you when you begin knowing people and you begin like getting in touch with these special and official invitations that are always special for us. And yeah, they are like the most moment for us in many occasions. I think they crown our whole effort to be there and to be a better caster and communicator. So I'm very happy that it happened to you so fast, considering your contact with Cody M per se. But very nice, Gil. You mentioned getting in touch with Beef Mommy, with Alan, with a lot of these guys, and I want to know like which has been the funniest mate on this casting adventure that you've been to. Which one just pops into your mind, or I don't know, the top three funniest mates of work on casting?
Funniest. Oh, I can come up with three people immediately. Immediately. Who are they? You may ask. The first one is gonna be They Nominate. They Nominate is a caster that I not only was lucky enough to cast with on Call of Duty Mobile, but he was also a caster on Vainglory. He, alongside with Humanist, was one of the casters that just made me get super involved with the esports of Vainglory at a time and enjoy it a lot. So They Nominate definitely has to be there. Verdict, as I mentioned, super funny guy, not only casting but as a friend. He's an amazing guy. And also not in English but in Spanish, Cachapa. I don't know if you heard
Yes,
them. I'm
totally.
pretty sure you
Cachapa on
have.
Trovo, right?
Yes, Cachapa on Troll. That's the one. I love him. He's super funny. He's super talented as well. I love the way that he casts. I love the vibe that he brings, not only to events, but just to hang out with.
Yeah.
He's one of that kind of guys that you can just be with, and he's gonna take a laugh out of you. He's amazing fella to be around. So those three gotta be my top. But it's always great to meet so many people. With you, I got a chance to be briefly casting in English, and because of different situations, we had to be like you in Portuguese, me in Spanish,
Yeah.
and then there was this girl. I forgot her name. Do you remember her name when it was Spanish, English, and Portuguese?
Um,
Ah,
she was a
I
caster.
forgot her name. Yes. I forgot her name, but we got to cast in there. And talking about Portuguese, if I'm telling you something, I'm trying to learn Portuguese.
Oh yeah.
Don't ask me
Nice.
absolutely nothing because I'm just learning words. Okay, I've only learned just random words, so don't ask me anything. But it's like my next objective. I know Spanish right now. I know English. I'd like to learn Portuguese and many other languages, but right now I'm starting with that one. And yeah, it's nice to meet new people, not only through the games, not only through casting, but also through languages. I feel like that's kind of nice. We've talked about Beef Mami. She's from the Philippines.
Yeah.
There's also Kali, who's a talented caster. There's people from Europe like Diana and Trovo. And to connect with all of these people is always pretty nice.
It's so nice that you begin speaking about the languages and where they are from. And I want to ask you about it. How was it for you transitioning from Spanish to English? Because it's always a challenge. Yes, we have casted the match together, and man, it was very hard. I mean, it always feels we sense that we know how to speak English, but when it comes to casting, it's another level because the game is very, very flowy and it's very fast paced. So you don't have time to, like be so precise or so, I don't know, picky about the quality of words. So you just have to go.
Yes.
So how was it for you, this transition and especially sharpening your English, which is so good, by the way?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I feel like a big part of it once again comes down to both esports and the game itself of Vainglory. I feel like I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself a lot.
No,
but
no
to me, I feel like throughout my life, Vainglory has been the most important game for a variety of reasons. In there, I got to get more involved, and I feel like because of that game, I got a shot at being more English speaking people. Why? Because the content of Vainglory, I want to say like it was 90%. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Diana alongside with Verdict and myself. That's super, super nice. And Kachap as well. Look at that. Other people that I was talking about. Got a lot to see it. But yeah, it's just that I got lucky in a sense that for me to learn English, it was weird because at first I just knew like random words. I could tell you like colors. I could tell you a few verbs, and that was about it. So with Vainglory, I wanted to meet people. Once again, it always comes down to meeting people, and they were English speaking. So I would have the stream, and I will have a translator alongside it. So I would
really,
I would try to write down what they were saying, and Google helped me a lot.
Oh man!
So Google helped me to understand a few words. Then words moved into sentences. Then I would stop using Google Translate and I would move on to just sort of typing myself. I'm sure that sometimes streamers would not understand me, but it was okay. Then I moved into Discord to talk with people, and that's how I got to, practice myself. Watching esports with Vainglory helped a lot, and with Music Sunday Showdown, with Verdict, with Echo, with Grimity, I always told them, I feel like I'm okay at that point talking English, but as you mentioned, the vocabulary. I feel like having a balanced enough vocabulary is super, super important, not to talk the language, but to cast. Why do I say this? Because there's 1,000 different ways for you to say the same thing, and you have to know not necessarily 1,000 ways, but a variety of ways for you not to sound repetitive, right?
Yes.
Something can be great, something can be amazing, can be wonderful, can be incredible, can be atrocious, can be terrific. There's so many different ways for you to describe what you're witnessing that I always told them that what I want to learn the most is to not be someone who says the same word over and over again, but always have a new way to tell you and express to you what's going on inside of a game. So, yeah.
Wow, that's just fantastic. That's something that I have myself done in Portuguese. When it comes to casting, I have been trying to, man, over my career to widen my vocabulary. So I'm very happy to see that you had the same idea, and of course it works pretty well, and it works pretty well for you in English. Why we saw you on stage 5 last year, so you would never be there if you were not talented as you are, and it was a great job. It was a fantastic job. I would say you are our first LATAM caster to step into stage 5 personally, on site, and being there along with the players and team. So again, congratulations for you. You are the first one to do that.
I was I was nervous. I kid you not. I was literally shaking. I was shaking like crazy. I I got a chance to rewatch myself. I feel like it was not necessarily shown on camera that I was nervous, but when it came down to me actually talking, it would be reflected a little bit, which it happens. I would wish that it was better, but it was my first LAN event, and I gotta be honest, I was nervous, but it was it felt in a way like some weight over my shoulders because, as you mentioned, I was the first LATAM to be there, but at the same time it was like, okay, I gotta find a way to prove everybody that LATAM is there, LATAM is present,
Yes,
and LATAM is great.
I love this.
So
Yeah.
I tried to do myself. I know that I made mistakes, but I'd like to say that I was happy that I I gave the best that I could at that time. I gave the best I could, and I just hope that people enjoyed it.
Oh, they did. I enjoyed myself. I was watching you work on that occasion. So I was very happy to see that our region was very well represented. We have to mention that back in the day, I think Extreme went to stage 5. I don't know if it was like 2022 or 1, but he was more of an invited, a special guest of honor. He was not casting per se, just like you did. So I'm very happy to see the work you did, man, and like the quality of casting that you brought again as a as a caster from our region, and that added a lot. It's not just seeing, for example, other Asian casters stepping up or other European friends doing the same, but like a Latin caster getting called to be on stage. That was fantastic, and I'm happy you did so well. And I gotta ask you, I'm gonna show again some images of you over there because it's very. I wanna bring this to, I don't know, to the best I can here in our show and on socials too. But I want to ask you how was it for you, like working with Alan, with Glitter Explosion, with other so talented professionals. Tell us more about it because, man, you totally rocked. See, you're even like fancy and like looking nice. You are.
It was great. It was amazing. I gotta be honest with you. Alan is just a super super great guy there with Mommy and Blaze guy. That was the first event, like I mentioned, on Battle Royale.
Okay.
And being with them helped me a lot to settle down in my feelings of nervousness. I feel like I've always been a super shy guy, and
Oh yeah.
maybe I've been told by people that it doesn't necessarily show that much on camera sometimes, but I'm really really introverted, so I always feel like really really anxious at the beginning of these events, and I'm talking about not only the big ones, which I feel really nervous, but also on all of the events at the beginning. I gotta like get into I like to call it like a casting mood where everything begins to flow and it's no longer about me, which it in reality never is, but it's more about the game. It's more about the matches, the players, the teams. So it's always important for me to leave aside the fact that I get anxious, that I get nervous, but only to think about what I'm here for, which is to just allow people to enjoy these matches, these games. So
That's fantastic because by clearly not trying to bring a heavy charge of personality, you in the end you bring your own personality anyways. So what I'm trying to say is you again, like you just said, you're not trying to showcase yourself, but you're using your skills to showcase the match. And to me, it comes out as you come out as a very steady and talented commentator. Bringing the highlights of the match, but without ever like going out of your classy style, because you got this steady classy style, and I like it so much. Just keep going. You're always there. You can tell the presence of Gilmania by how he does it over the match, and that's why I love your work, man. To be honest.
thank you. I really appreciate it. And something that I also wanted to mention, not about my work, but also like every caster that I've seen throughout my career. I just feel like I was lucky enough to be invited to this stage 5, but I've always felt like hopefully we get to see more and more people to get to that big stage. I'd like to also have the Portuguese fellas over there on the big stage with you alongside with
Jig Joy.
Jesus, with yes, with her, with on the side of also in Spanish, like I mentioned, Cachapa, Sowi, Extreme, for them to be land from the Philippines with Mami, with Kali, with Mostachio as well. It's always nice to see them in there. And of course, Verdict is a super talented guy. It's just that, unfortunately enough, at this point in time, the big events are so few that I feel like not everybody has gotten a chance yet.
That's true.
But as Call of Duty Mobile continues to grow now with Masters that's coming so soon, I just hope to see more and more people get involved. And I gotta tell you, by the way, now that I myself touched on that Masters, is gonna be there over in Brazil. I wanted to ask you about that later. So I know that you're asking me questions, but I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about Masters being there on Brazil? Are you gonna be there? Like, are we gonna see you over there?
It's gonna be so exciting. Yes, I'm excited about working on the event soon and being there and like embracing people. It's gonna be such an environment that we have been waiting for, Gil, because it's gonna be the major, LAN event. I don't know, of LATAM, all over these years, to be honest. On our mobile area, CodeM is gonna get this level of attention for the first time. So I'm very happy to see how ESL, stepped up from last year to now to make it happen. So yeah, we are very excited. I am excited to also be there. I don't know how yet, but I'm gonna be there. Hugging people, doing my best, and I want to see you. We're gonna catch up a lot.
Awesome. That'd be great. I wanna see that. I'm thrilled. I feel like not only Latin but Brazil is a region that is very, very involved in Call of Duty Mobile. So I'm thrilled how the stadium or wherever it might be hosted is gonna look like, because I'm sure that everybody over there in Brazil are just gonna show the warmth that you get when you host an event over on Brazil or any other Latin place.
Oh yeah, we have been showing this level of attention and like warmth, like you said, in many other sports, and we're gonna be able to show on CodeM this time. That's why I'm very excited, because for us it's gonna be very, very special to show how things can be done on CodeM as well. Yes. And it's gonna be the first time we're gonna have such a major event here. I was actually last year seeing Wolves from China, right, stepping up as the world's champion. And seeing the new attention that the Chinese region has been having in CodeM specifically. I was thinking, man, now they're gonna move the stage 5 and some official, playoff stage events to Asia as a whole. But again, then we all got surprised by seeing Brazil out there, and Brazil didn't perform well on stage 5, right? So it was a nice surprise. I'm just excited. Let's see what happens. I'm very, very happy.
It's gonna be great. I'm sure that it's gonna be great. I'm super, super happy about that. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. It's gonna be quite soon. It's this month. And
it's gonna be April 12th.
April, right?
So 14,
next month. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, man. So tell me something about your transition when it comes to language. Did you know English before casting? How was your comfort with the language itself before this whole casting adventure?
By that time, I already knew English. It came to that situation where I mentioned where I had the stream and Google Translate at the same time. That already had happened a couple of years prior. That was when I was on, I feel like in English it's called high school, the years that are before college,
yes,
before university. So I was there when it happened, Bangalory, all that big boom. I there learned English and never really did much with it. The most that I did with my English would be just watch YouTube in English, watch videos. But I guess with videos, with movies, with music, I got a shot of practicing. So by the time I got to casting with the Mystic Sunday Showdown, they funny enough asked me to cast in both languages. I don't know if you ever got to know that, but at first when I was casting Mystic Sunday Showdown, it used to be English and Spanish.
Oh,
I would be alone,
wow.
and I would be casting for, I want to say, like a minute and a half in Spanish, then
Oh
another
no,
minute in
never did
English, and
this in my life.
back and forth.
Really? Oh wow,
Yeah,
that is an exercise for the brain. But cool.
it was, yeah.
How did you feel in the experience? Like the chat liked it, loved it. How did it feel?
I feel like they liked it. It was always interesting because by the end of the tournament, when it came down to the finals, it would be like maybe Tribe versus 11T, or Cygnus at the time, or Nativos Latinos versus some English-speaking team. And of course, you have the people from the United States. You got the people from Canada, then you got the people from Mexico and Central America and South America as well, trying to root for both. So for a second, you got the Spanish for all the Latin people, and then you got the English for everybody in the United States. So I feel like people really, really liked it in a way. Although at the same time, I would always see people complaining, like, "Come on, what's going on here?" But
Yeah.
it was just a way, I guess, for Me Six as a whole to allow people from both sides to enjoy that tournament each week.
Oh yeah, I wanna give a shout out to Marifer who's commenting here in the chat, and she's saying you are fucking handsome, Gil. Do you know her?
Yes, I do know her.
Awesome. Cool, nice. Yes. So when you say about the language division and like splitting up, it's very interesting because I have felt this in this very ESL Snapdragon series that I've just casted, since January, in the sense of being a Brazilian Portuguese speaking caster, but casting on the Codiem Sports channel on YouTube, which is like basically composed by English speaking fans. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a strange experience, but we handled it very well. I was like casting in Portuguese, and I remember just saying some lines, some gentle quick lines to those who understood just English or Spanish. So I was trying to communicate with them in the sense of, hey, I'm Linux, I'm speaking in Brazilian Portuguese, because many of them were like in the chat like, what language is this? I cannot understand anything in here. So it was very fun. It was very funny, but again,
it was interesting.
we did the best we could. But I never had the experience that you had, man, on like trying to cast in a bilingual way. So that's just crazy. I mean, eventually I can try to do that. Now that I'm living here in America, and I've been speaking English like in a daily basis, and I love it.
So wait. Where do you live now?
I'm living in America. I'm living in.
You are?
In North Carolina.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
But that's recent. It's not something that comes down the road for many times.
Happy for you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Oh yeah, it's a new cycle for me. I'm very excited, and it's just doors opening. So let's see what happens. Maybe I'll be casting alongside with you in some events. I'll work for that, of course. I want to get to your level of English, man, because again, it's just crazy good.
Your English is great. What do you mean? Come on now.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Gil, tell me something. If you want to give an advice for those who want to cast or begin casting, what would you tell them? Like, what would you say it's the best way or things to do to be a good caster?
I would say that if you already enjoy like casting, try to do it as much as you can. Like I mentioned, by some random way I started casting, but it could have ended there, right? Maybe I said the next week, you know what, I don't want to cast again.
Yeah.
But I had fun, and I was like, I want to try it again. I want to try it again, and I did, and I did, and I did. I want to tell you, my recently, I want to say like a few months ago, I got a chance of rewatching me at first. And more than casting, I was just talking. I was mostly, just talking, and it's not necessarily bad, but it's not what you should aim for, right?
Yeah.
You gotta give more excitement to what's going on. And I gotta say that if you enjoy doing it, just try to do it as much as possible. If you got a shot, if you got a chance, just try to repeat it and repeat and repeat it. I was doing Mystic Sunday Showdown for how many weeks? Probably like nearly 60 weeks.
Wow.
Not in a row. There was a few weeks where, for one reason or another, we didn't do it. But it was pretty much each Sunday, each Sunday, each Sunday. And in between, sometimes, sometimes there was Mobile Mayhem. Sometimes there was other events that I was invited to. And when they invited me, I would be like, sure, why not? I love doing this, so why not doing a little bit more, right? So I got a shot at practicing. I got a shot at also asking for advices. I gotta be honest with you, it's something that I to this day have not stopped doing. I can tell you that on this stage 5, with I Hold Shift, Alan, with Proper Caster, with Glitter Explosion, with F Dot, I asked each and every single one of them, what can I do better, right? What am I doing okay? What can I polish a little bit more? What can I make shine a little bit brighter? So constantly try to perform, to try to cast, but also ask those who have done it in the past, what can I do better? Not be afraid to ask for a helping hand, because I can assure you that pretty much everyone, maybe not everyone, I don't know everyone, but most people are gonna help you and give you a few points for you to get better each day, which is what it's all about.
Oh yeah, I love your reply, because it makes a lot of sense, and basically it means like keep humble over the way. We're gonna get to places, we're gonna have chances, but we should always keep trying to be better and polish ourselves, as you said, in a very elegant way, as always. I like that, and that's what we should aim for. Again, games require a lot of updating, self-updating, and the caster is not just a talker, like you said, is an emphasizer, is a storyteller. Myself, when I look at myself casting back in the day, Gil, I also see a guy talking. It's like I also talked a lot and said things in a very steady way, and then that kept changing. We bring emphasis. Back in 2016, for example, I was a more of a color commentator on Heroes of the Storm, which was a Blizzard MOBA. I was more this than a play-by-play caster, and I could see after that game jumping into FPS realm, then I began like bringing emphasis, watching other folks doing that. So I totally get you. We have to keep pushing because the caster is supposed to bring emotion and intensity. And I want to ask you about more now about community. How do you see those the communities we have in CodeEM? How do you see the reaction of the community and fans to our work? Do you have a lot of do you get a lot of positive reactions and reviews? What folks tell about your work, etc.? Does it fuel your work as much as it happens on my case? Because I say this, I love to cast and look at the chat. I know it's crazy. It's not something to be advised, but I love to look at the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say that I agree with you. I like to see, and even more so because, like I mentioned, usually I'm nervous at first. So they may say like, I may be like screaming a lot or not talking loud enough or talking too slow or too fast. And that helps me to realize, tweak a little bit onto what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a way to better understand what people like to see in that moment. Like you mentioned, not everybody recommends that, but especially when you're starting and in that midpoint, it definitely helps, at least to me. If you know how to manage the down part, which is negative comments that are always there. They are gonna be all across the journey. So you gotta make sure that even if it's a negative comment, try to understand where he's coming from.
Yes.
Maybe the way that he's saying it is a little bit offensive, because I gotta be honest with you, sometimes people don't even think about what they're saying. They just straight up be rude. But there usually is a point to what they're trying to say. Not always. Sometimes people just say random nonsense to be offensive. But in some situations, they are trying to be like, okay, he sounds a little bit like if he is just reading a book. which it's fine if you are reading a book, but we're not, right?
We're not.
As you mentioned
Yeah.
recently, you gotta try to keep that flow going, not static, not always in the middle, not always up high, not always up low. It's gotta be like a wave,
Yes.
up
Oh
and
yes.
downs all across the board, and manage to just filter the comments to see ways for you to give people what they want.
That's so cool to hear because I see that in our work we have to keep changing the tone and the intensity and
Yeah.
also the focus on things during the match. And yes, you're right. I mean, some folks they just wanna put it out there, but like in many occasions some other can help us. So yes, the chat is a great source of feedback to our own work. I love it. And when you said that we are not reading books, in my mind just came the idea of a caster as being not only like a not a reader per se, but a writer and a reader. If we are to define what a caster can do
Okay.
when he's working, yeah, he's like writing a book and reading it for those who are watching us because
Like a
he's
storyteller,
creating
I think you said earlier, right?
what?
Like a storyteller, you said
Like a
earlier, I
storyteller,
think.
precisely. Yeah, we are. I
Yeah.
mean, we are creating information in our brains, and we are saying all that in real time I don't know who's watching us, but like that's so crazy to stop to think about because we got to praise that too, right? Like it's a creative job, on the top
Yes.
of like a reported job. So we're combining some professionals here in a very fast pacing way, and it's very hard to do what we do, but we love. So I mean that was brings motivation to keep going, right, Gil?
Absolutely, absolutely. To find ways to just like I feel like storytelling is the best way to put it because there's always the narrative of the two teams, right? I feel like it was pretty evident on this last championship, right? The way that from last year to this recent year, the side of West
Yeah.
improved so much. With Wolves taking it home, with Godlike defeating Luminosity, with it was the Japanese team. I forgot their name, but the Japanese team
Votes,
also
votes.
Bolt. Yes,
Yeah.
they did not go to day number two, but man, did they bring in a show! Ah, I enjoyed it so much watching the bots from Bolt because it was incredible to see how much they've improved, how much they've worked to get there, and that sort of narrative is what brings even more emotion to to the stories that are being told. I feel like that's really a big part of the competitive environment. I've heard in the past, Linux. I'm not gonna ask your opinion if you don't want to say it, but for example, from Vague, which I feel like Vague is a kind of player that always tries to provoke
Yeah.
something in you. Some people may say that it comes down as just being rude, to not say any other word. But I feel like that was a huge motivation in a way for West, not only to win, but to prove what they proved, right? I feel like Godlike when they defeated Luminosity,
Yeah.
when they screamed what they screamed at the time that they were graffitiing the logo from Luminosity, it always adds a lot more than just 10 players facing each other, right? It's not only 10 players, but 10 lives, 10,
Yeah.
two different teams, two different regions.
Yes.
It is just so much more than just a simple game of 10 people, you know?
You just defined in a brilliant way that that's what happens to esports, especially on a huge stage, just like Stage 5, Gil, because as you said, it's an encounter of worlds. It's like an encounter of regions with different structures to work. So, yeah, the NA has been dominating the game for the last years, and they got
Yeah.
into a point, they got into an event specifically on Stage 5 where they could not be themselves anymore. It's not just about NA dominating so easily or so straightforwardly, but like again, now we have Indian teams, we have Asian teams dominating the scene, so it was fantastic. And we
Yeah.
could see the amount of new narratives on socials as well by casters. For example, I like and I love how Bobby Plays phrased it when he said that Wolves were the champions, but Godlike were the community champions, or the
The people
popular,
champions.
the
Yeah.
people's champions. So that was a
Yes.
fantastic definition for a final, or for a great finals match that had two champions, to me. So that was brilliant, right? I mean, it was quite a match, and was not only a match. That's what is crazy about it, right?
And I mean, I just brought in the memory of that 7-0 victory from Godlike against Luminosity, right? It's something that was just insane.
It
You
was
would
insane.
not in a million years expect Godlike, a team that last year could not win. I don't even think they won like a map,
Yeah.
to being capable of winning 7-0 against the reigning champions from last year, right? That was Luminosity, that was Tectonic, that was Vague, that was Marshy. It was just a situation that brought so much emotion for everybody who was in the crowd, for everybody who was in the stage, for everybody who was at home, just watching them do
Yeah.
such a crazy, crazy thing as that was.
And also, yes, you're right. And man, I gotta be honest with you. Like, I think India and Godlike made it for India. They took this heaviness out of their shoulders as a region, because
Yeah.
comparing what the Indian teams did in 2022 to what they did last year was like, like a rocket escalating performance. They were just one of the last regions in 2022, and then they came out
Yeah.
as top two now. I mean, they switched place basically with Latin, as I've been talking live with other players and teams.
Yeah.
Basically, Latin was top three in 2022, and they just, went down to
They
being
went
the
down.
last
They
region.
went down. Yeah.
So, that shows how exciting it is to be on esports, and like what esports does to us all, right? Like, it's a totally like changing scenario from months or years to come, comparing to the past. So I just love it all. I'm just crazy in passion for gaming and for sports. And speaking of which, I want to ask you, what projects currently are you on? Like, do you have anything rolling or being designed to bring out to to your community, or I don't know, to your fans, or you're just for now beginning the year slowly? How are you going? You going step by step?
If I'm being honest with you, right now I have a bit of a slow paced. I started a new job I want to say like about a year ago,
Okay.
and that consumes a lot of time. I told you I had to do this an hour later than what you suggested. That was because of my other job, and I feel like as thrilling, as exciting, as much as I love the casting, unfortunately, there's always the human side of things. Which what I mean by that is the fact that I needed that financial support, and that's given by the job that I'm in right now. But I don't want to quit casting. I so much love casting. It's something that I never want to stop doing. So right now, what I'm trying to do is, as I don't have as many events, I want to be able to try to broadcast myself to like organizers who may have events that I can attend to. Like I mentioned, my schedule is a little bit tight, but if I can make it, I'll try to make it work, right? So my main plans right now, my main goals is to, connect with events that I can be on. I know that's something that is not as easy, but that's like my main goal for the time being.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yes. I mean, being in touch with the scenes, being working on new things and projects is always fantastic. And yeah, man, what you said about how you had to maybe step back a little bit when it comes to casting because of, let's say, the daily needs of having a job and keeping yourself. That is so true, and I'm sure that happens to us all, to many of us in different levels. For example, I currently I don't live just by gaming or just through gaming. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also someone who needs to have another job, another kind of income source. So that happens to us all. But you know what is crazy? We just love combining things for a while, and especially when we are casting or working with gaming, I'm sure that happens to you too. We just bring it out, everything we need. We just use it as an outlet to, to scream out there and to have fun and laugh. So yeah, that's what makes games so fantastic, right?
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, right? Those emotions, those moments of action, of laughter, of
Yes.
just pure joy, and sometimes a little bit of rage. Because let's be
Yeah.
honest, everybody has been mad at a game once in a while, right? It's something that happens, but it's just gaming, right? It's just those emotions from the good and the bad. You take it all, and that's what keeps you going back and back again into it.
Oh yeah, and that's why we love gaming, and that's why we love to be in touch with fans, with games, and with the industry across the globe. And man, I'm so happy that I could bring this project of mine to life, Gamer Nation, as a global gaming podcast open to us all, and with a lot of contents to be brought on socials as well. So I'm very happy to, have had this conversation with you, Gil. Thank you so much for your time, and man, I see you around. I'm hoping to work more with you this year. Also to learn whatever you learned over the last year, because I know it's a mountain of knowledge, and I wanna absorb that. And I wanna be by your side because also you are a fantastic person.
Thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate it. I gotta be honest that I was honored. I told you to be invited here. You're a streamer, or rather, sorry, a caster who I've seen for a long time. Like I told you, I don't necessarily know enough Portuguese to understand everything that you're saying, but I feel like it's always about the emotions that you bring into whenever you're casting that I always like from you, the energy that you bring into the table, the way that you always love, and it shows that you love what you're doing. So when you invited me, I was really really happy. I was thrilled to be in here. I'm the first. That's great, but I'm sure that I'm the first of many. So I wish you a lot of success with this project, and for it to grow faster and faster by each time that you bring a new guest.
Thank you so much, Gilmania. Yeah, it was awesome to have you as my first guest. And yes, I'm hoping it's gonna be a long journey, and it's gonna be a space where we can learn a lot from each other, and we can, just bring these knowledge and these experiences out there. So thank you all who watched us. Thank you so much for staying with us. This was the first episode. Please make sure to follow us on socials. So you can go on Instagram and also on X, and you can follow Gamer Nation GGWP. Gil, thanks, man. Good rest, and see you soon.
See you later. Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everyone.